Link, and there we go. Okay, so I got a lot of personal questions coming from me, like question I came
Yep.
out with, similar to ones I have made before, and
Okay.
a lot of questions from my followers that
Okay.
they were actually shocked that you found my video.
It's funny because the YouTube algorithm works in the most ridiculous of ways. Like when you watch a video, it will try and find a video to match it that it wants to put in its recommendation. And other times it'll just recommend you videos that are unrelated to the videos you normally watch because it really wants you to watch them. So the day you uploaded your video is when my algorithm just decides like, hey, yo, this dude uploaded this video about you like not even like 14 hours ago. Do you want to see it? And when I clicked on it, and I was listening to a guy review all my fucking previous shitposting antics in a language I do not speak. I'm like, good fucking lord, this is certainly different, but alright, Mr. Magic Man, humor me as I try to understand your language that I do not speak.
It's funny because people make fun of that I broke YouTube's algorithm because I only have like 25,000 subscribers, and I got them this year. Actually, I started to upload videos last year, like December 28, because that's April Fool's Day in Spanish-speaking countries for some reason. And it was my immortal video, and that video got huge, even if it's 45 minutes long, something that is not profitable for YouTube. It managed to get 200,000 views, and that's huge for me. And people say, how did you do that? And I'm like, I don't know, I just did. So I'm surprised that you got in recommendations my video.
So, what's fucked up about the algorithm is you have all these channels that you've never heard of before, but you look at their subscriber count and they're massive. So you think, oh, they should be racking in all kinds of views, or at very least like 10K per video. I went on the Procrastinator show, which was a mistake in its own right, but like when I went on there, I noticed that this show has 23,000 subscribers, but they pull in maybe like 3,000 views per video, sometimes even less. And it's crazy. So either the algorithm doesn't fucking count for the amount of subscribers you have, or it straight up thinks the videos it wants to recommend are more important than the videos that people might actually be interested in watching.
A post of his was actually my inspiration of making the video, because he made a post saying, will you take a commission from the Wonder Bread guy? And I had no idea what was he talking about.
And you were like, who?
Yeah, and I started to investigate, and I was like, oh, this is actually interesting. And
Like, I know you were putting on a bit for the sake of the video, but man, there were some moments where I legit could not tell if you were just distraught beyond fucking words of the shit that you were looking at right then.
let me tell you one thing. In one part of the video, I say that I don't compare you to Christian. I compare you more to Tara Gillespie, the person who
I have
wrote...
no idea who that is.
That's the person who wrote the worst fanfic ever, My Immortal. Which...
Oh, that?
Yeah,
I've heard of that. I haven't read it, but I've heard of it.
Yeah, like, it's not the worst thing ever, but it has its reputation. Like, I don't think it's the worst thing ever. I don't think you are the worst thing ever. But both are funny to look at, because not only the content, but for the legend behind it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think My Immortal will be as popular if it wasn't for the whole mysterious thing behind the author, that it disappeared, it left no track on the internet, while in your site you have a bunch of English speaking people thinking like getting the commission from the Wonder Bread guy is like being marked by the devil. It's like, it's so funny. Like, that's why I wanted to make the video. Like, there is so much things about that, but at the end of the day, it's not that big of a
And
deal.
your video didn't even cover all of it. It only covered all of the old stuff. So much shit has happened since your video release that you might need to do like a gigantic fucking redaction. Not of anything like small, but like you need to add like huge things to the next video. It's like you missed so much
Yeah, because well, that's as far as people actually know. Because well, I saw the interviews, I watched part of the Dick Show and all
Yes.
that, and I feel most of the things that were important that I decided to cover that I wanted to cover. Like for example, I know I didn't bring up the reason why you have the thing with the bread because it reminds you of the breasts of
Yeah,
a
that's for the
woman.
next video. Yeah.
Yeah, because it actually made me uncomfortable. So I didn't want to put that, but like I feel with putting the whole reverse psychology things, it kind of explains everything. Like everything has a reason. Don't worry, guys. There is a reason for everything. But there is a lot of questions related to those reasons, and I want to clarify them. And again, I was completely surprised you had a Twitter that was just more logic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So the reason why I have a Twitter is because I'm banned essentially everywhere else. Discord and Twitter are the only places I'm no longer banned from.
yeah. So I guess that's a good first question for this interview. Like, of all the users, why do you think you? Why are you banned from so many websites?
So let me ask you this. How would you define the Colombian government when it comes to preventing internet-related crimes in your country? Like, if you were to compare it to something like China or the Middle East, where the internet is heavily censored, heavily monitored, and most things you can't even access because, you know, they're trying to keep the populace away from looking at certain things to keep them complacent and not wanting them questioning the government. Is Colombia anything like that?
I'm going to answer your question with this. Our president pirates movies.
All right. So,
That's all you have to know.
so the reason why I'm bringing this up is because internet censorship in America has been a a hot button topic for the past couple of years now. So we've had the bit where they wanted to strongly enforce the COPA compliancy laws over on YouTube, which is another reason why the algorithm is all fucked up. COPA is this completely absurd idea on what they want to do is they want to make the internet safer for people. Now, their idea of safe is more along the lines of we want people to only look at things that we want them to look at. So we want to be like China and the Middle East, but we don't want to directly think we're like China and the Middle East. But we're trying to normalize that what we're doing is a good thing. Now, as the years have gone by, these big name social media sites like Reddit, FJ, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, all these places that make millions and billions of dollars in revenue, their harshness on how they want to handle those websites is starting to get a little out of control. And it's strictly for political reasons. It's a obsessive need to control everything. Now, you normally wouldn't think to dig deep into it until you start noticing patterns. Like, for instance, you're not allowed to talk about certain things on most websites anymore. Like obviously, if you go on a website and you're just gonna casually say the N-word, like, yeah, maybe that's worthy of you getting banned because, you know, you're just saying the N-word for the sake of saying the N-word. But now it's getting to the point where you need to strongly read, reread, and re-edit your terminology before you post because you might offend someone at some time, which is ridiculous because there's a difference between genuinely offending someone and then someone just having a streak of mental illness and then pretending to be offended as a means of finding any kind of justification to signify how sad and pathetic their life is. And that's what these sites are becoming. I got banned from Reddit, namely because my shit posting was not compliant with what the site wanted to read. And a lot of people have been getting banned from Reddit, but with me, it was very particular. When I started getting more and more notoriety because of my shit posting and because of my art, in fact, I even had the Reddit moderation team fucking send me DMs. I had the head Reddit moderator come to me and tell me, it's like, Mr. Merlogic, the good news, bad news is, the good news is you haven't broken any of our terms, site conditions on your shit posting. The bad news is you have a lot of people, a good half the website, who fucking hates you. They hate your posts, they hate whenever you comment,
Okay.
they hate everything about you. Yeah.
Okay, I can
They
imagine.
absolutely fucking despise you. Yeah, you haven't broken any rules, so we can't ban you, but we want to show you this. So the head moderator gives me a link to a PDF file, and I click on the PDF file, and in that PDF file is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages of angry complaints from various users on the website explaining in detail why I should be banned from the website and not be allowed to post. And you read these, and it's like the saddest shit in the world. These people have never heard of the sticks and stones policy, which is something you learn in preschool. When sticks and stones will break your bones, words can never hurt you. We live in 2020. People think the most powerful thing that you could use are your words, and that they hurt. It's not the case. These people did not learn that policy back in preschool. So you have all these people not being enforcing the sticks and stones policy, and it gets to the point where the moderators can't do anything about it anymore, to the point where the people who tell the moderators to do their job, not the user base, but the people who employ the moderators. So the guy who runs what they're doing went to the moderators and told them, no, we're getting bad clout from this. I want Mur off the platform. So I have had this happen to me multiple times over the course of a multitude of different platforms. I've been banned from Twitter. No, sorry, not Twitter. I've been banned from Tumblr. I've been banned from Funny Junk. I've been banned from Reddit. And I've been banned from 4chan Co. But just these places. It's weird. I'm not banned any other board on 4chan, just Co, which is the board that I shitposted on the most. Every other board I'm allowed to shitpost as much as I want till I get banned from those, but the only other board I want to shitpost on is the board I'm banned from. So, Twitter and Discord are literally all I have left. I can't go anywhere because it's not like you're banned for an X amount of time. No, these are shadow bans and IP bans. Like, I don't know how to do the tech thing where I can get a different VPN, or I'm gonna pay money for a NordVPN or whatever, but I can't get past these bans. And if I'm banned, I'm also shadow banned, so I can post, but no one will read my comment. It'll just not exist. So, as far as they know, I don't exist, or they don't want me to exist. I'm too much for them.
Wow, that was wild, but for what I can get is mostly like public pressure. Like they tell them, hey, this is the Wonder Bread guy, ban him. Okay, I can imagine.
That is the most galaxy brain take I've heard.
Yeah.
Public pressure.
Yeah. I wanted to say two things about that. One, that this whole story that you told me reminds me of one thing that happened this week. So, there is a soda here in Colombia called Colombian. Okay?
Okay.
A partner from college tried this new flavor from the soda and wrote, that Colombian is awful. And Facebook took that as him offending a person for being Colombian, not the soda that is called Colombian. And he got his account down.
Swear to fucking God, Tumblr lives in their own fucking fantasy world. Have they been to Colombia? Like, you've read a Colombian history book. Fucking, you know your country's not exactly been stable, and if it has been stable,
no.
It's never. Colombia in the 1970s from like the early 2000s sounds like something straight out of a fucking anime. It's like a fucking nightmare.
But yeah, okay, but why you? Why do you think of all the people you gets that treatment?
I namely think it's because these people have an agenda to push and they need like a boogeyman to point out, and they picked me because, like I mentioned before, when Wet Monsoon went on my DeviantArt and was complaining about how all my art was racist or theoretically racist because all of the waifus in my gallery were white, and that was some kind of subtle indoctrination trick to trick people into becoming white supremacists or some insane pseudo-psychobabble that only goes and proves that Tumblr spends way too much time on the internet. They believed this because, they're on the take, or they think the take is something they need to be on the take of, and they just decided that they were going to agree with that. And that's namely what's been happening over the course of these several websites. I've had people on Reddit even tell me, it's like, how come you don't shitpost on Reddit anymore? It's like, I can't. That fucking moderating team told me no. which is weird because the moderating team said I wasn't breaking any rules, but the person who was running the moderating team said I broke every rule. So, make of that as you will.
Okay. Okay, I guess that's more than enough for that part. That part of being a boogeyman and getting public pressure in the moderators. Okay, so the second one. I know I said the text about eating bread was the weirdest thing I have ever read in my channel, and I think it's true, like it was weird, I felt weird. However, the first part of that paragraph was way more interesting. Are you still with the idea of making the bread waifus? Many people in the comment thought that was quite an idea.
So the context behind that was one day, a long time ago, I met a man named Shen Animation, and Shen Animation has been my friend for a very long time. Shen is very popular on 4chan's Co. and Tumblr and all these sites on the internet. His art is very sought after, and if you're lucky to get a commission from him, it's the greatest feeling in the world. I've had multiple commissions from Shen Animation. Now, one day, I went to Shen Animation, and I asked the guy, it's like, would you be open to the idea of doing commissions with me? And he thought about it, it's like, man, I didn't think about it, but I suppose I'd be open to the idea. What would you like? So, I asked them, could you draw me a... Alright, so I should point out, it's like, there was a time frame before I was looking for more specific things that I would give all of my commission artists that I was going to ask a template to use, and on that template, I would just basically copy-paste it and then give that copy-pasted template to a bunch of different commission artists, and they would use that template to draw me a sample piece, and if I liked that sample piece, I would continue commissioning with them long thereafter. So basically, I would ask them to make me an OC, and they could make that OC however they want, but the OC itself is, it was, what's the word? You were able to be flexible with how you wanted to draw this character. Now, I would give, examples of how you could draw the character, and that's why a lot of the art has a similar theme to it, and why a lot of the OCs look the same despite being drawn in different styles. Now, 90% of the time, when they read the template, they would just go with the examples I would give them instead of just, being creative about it. And when Shen got that template, he went and he drew me this. So this character right here is basically the start of how me and Shen started our relationship together, our business partnership. So this character is named Abundance Plenty Of. It's basically saying abundance in having plenty of. So as you know, all these OCs basically follow the theme that we talked about yesterday, and she's no different, but when I was talking with Shen and we were getting really into it, we were crafting ideas for stories and how we want to do more with this character. And I came up with the idea of why don't we give her some helpers? So Shen went and drew me this. So these two girls right here, I named them after different types of bread. And the idea was we were going to introduce a bunch of characters and we were going to name them over different kinds of bread. So Abundance was going to have some helpers that were named after different brands of white bread. We were going to have one helper named Sarah Lee. We were going to have one helper named Bimbo. We were going to have one helper... they were basically just going to be named after different kinds of white bread. But we were also thinking, it's why don't we expand on that a little further and make characters that we could base them not on just white bread, but different kinds of bread. And one idea I came up with was we were going to make not a real antagonist. The idea is if the main character is a villain, she's clearly the actual antagonist, but if she's the main character, you have to perceive her as the main character of the show, so you have to pretend that she's the protagonist of the show. And when you do that, you have to see the person who is the actual protagonist as the antagonist, because if your show is being booked by a villain, you have to do the opposite. And the idea was, alright, so if all these characters are based around different kinds of white bread, why don't we make a character that is based on a non-white bread? So I came up with this. So that character right there is Holly Wholewheat, and we were going to come up with other ideas of making other kind of bread-related waifus. Like we had another idea for a character named Sally Sourdough, and we were also going to make all kinds of other characters as well.
Okay, that's actually a pretty fascinating story, and yeah, I have seen Shen Animation work before. I didn't make the relation between both drawings, but now I can see it. Now I can see it. Okay, that's actually something
Sally
that
Sourdough.
interested a lot of people in the comments. Like, hey, that actually doesn't sound that bad. I remember there was an age where when the thing went viral, many people started making brands into waifus and husbandos.
Yes.
And I thought it was related to that. Now I see it's way more deep. And I'm actually surprised. It actually sounds interesting.
Yeah, we were working on this, but Shen has this thing that he's been doing. He's into animation now, and I haven't seen him in like a long, long while. And every time I occasionally check up on him, he's still working on that animation. So since he signed to contract, he can't talk about the details or even like show me in depth what exactly he's been drawing, but he's apparently drawing something. And yeah, he won't tell me. But we haven't worked together in a while. In fact, if you pay attention to some of these examples I'm showing, these are just straight pre-sketches that he never finished that I had to look for in my hundreds of terabytes of files. But yeah, we were brainstorming a bunch of ideas. Like we were going to give Abundance and Sally their own fucking spoiled brat kids. But, you know, again, these were just pre-sketch ideas that never came to fruition.
Okay, that's nice. That's a very complete answer. I like it. Okay. Next question will be: I put in the video both versions of the Shadman story, the legend and the clarification you put in the interview. However, there is the funny jump capture where you explain that Shadman mocked you for your request. So, what is the actual version?
I have no fucking clue how the hell it's now accelerated to the point where this story has gotten so lost in mistranslation that I almost feel like they either didn't read what I wrote correctly or they straight up just made up bullshit just to feed into their narrative because it's happened before. So I'm going to explain this one more time so the whole world fucking knows what the hell happened.
I'm open.
So, when I first started doing commissions for the first time, I was just namely asking anybody. Now, as you know, commission artists have this thing where they will either give themselves personal handicaps where they're either incapable of drawing something for personal beliefs or they're just not good at drawing something, so they stick to the one thing that they're good at. You know, they play to their strengths. Now, I see Shad's artwork, and depending upon who you ask, people will complain about how Shad uses a lot of tropes in his art, like, you know, all of his waifus that are drawn in the style that he draws them in are usually drawn like they're made out of plastic. Like, their fucking skin type is so greasy clean that it makes them, like, reflective in a certain way. But I didn't really care about that because I always said to myself, if I had 1/10 of Shad's artistic ability, I wouldn't waste it using it the way that he's doing it in his fucking bits. But, you know, that's how he was making money off his Patreon and his GoFundMe. So I go over to Shad and I figure, you know, what's the harm? Like, you know, I might as well ask the dude. I asked the guy, would you be open to drawing me a commission? And before he even went and told me no, I basically just elaborated on what I wanted. So this was back during the time when I was... Well, actually, I should point this out. There was a time period, a very short time period, where I was failing high school. So I ended up going to summer school, which I played copious amounts of hooky, and, you know, a fat load of help that did me. But as I was playing hooky from summer school, I was watching a lot of Avatar. And when I got through watching all of Last Airbender, I watched all 3 seasons from beginning to end over the course of one day. And when I finally got to the very end of the series, I'm like, man, I'm jonesing for some more Avatar. So I had a friend go and tell me, yo, there's this new Avatar show. We wondered if you were interested. And I'm like, there's a new Avatar show? Yeah. So they showed me Legend of Korra, and you brought up Asami a lot, and you're going to get a lot of context from the Asami thing. So this is how it started. When I heard Legend of Korra came out, I'm like, I'm jonesing for more Avatar, so I might as well try this out. And, when you first watch Legend of Korra, you actually get, like, there are flaws, but you're optimistic because there's no perfect show. Like, when Asami got introduced and they were talking about this tragic backstory involving Asami where her mother took her out to go get ice cream one day, her father was out trying to sell Satomobiles, or at least sell the concept of Satomobiles, and her mother gets mugged in front of her, and then Hiroshi then goes full fucking what the fuck when he starts talking about how, the Agni Kai triad, they dragged her mother out into the fucking alleyway, they lit her ass on fire in front of Asami, and they basically forced Asami to watch her mother get burned alive. I'm like, man, this is really dark, but I'm really compelled. And I'm thinking to myself, it's like, this is gonna lead to Asami, like, low-key going down, like, the route of Azula. She's gonna be like a non-bender Azula. Like, they're gonna do the bit where they did Zuko's entire story arc, where they turned to heel babyface after the course of 3 seasons, and then, they're gonna do this bit with Asami, where they're gonna do that, but backwards, where, they're gonna turn to babyface into a full-blown heel, and this is the slow build to it. Like, obviously Asami, she's confused, she's scared, she doesn't know what's going on, she finds out her father's an equalist, got all this shit with Varric, her company is hemorrhaging money, and Korra is, like, taking her out on all these adventures, she's cucking her out of Mako. These are justifiable reasons to get Asami angry. And I'm thinking to myself, it's like, man, the way they're writing Asami is not the way they should be writing Asami. Asami should be a lot more tragic, a lot more deeply disturbed. Like, she should be way more compelling than how the show is writing her. And they're basically writing her like she's a fucking, like, a background character. Like, they needed a non-bender, so they needed Sokka of the group, so they had Asami. But literally all she does is drive the fucking getaway car and provide transport. They don't do anything compelling with her. So it was during this time frame I was thinking, you know what? If the show isn't going to make a good version of Asami, I'm going to at least give my god-honest try and draw my own version of Asami. So this was back when I was early into commissioning, and the only thing I was commissioning then was Asami-related stuff. So that's why you had that huge montage in the opening of your video. So I asked the guy, it's like, alright, so I have this idea. I want to draw a alternate universe version of Asami. Could you draw her as a, like, alright, so those stories about how when you hear about Apple companies or, like, Nike companies, and they have essentially slave labor, like, yes, they're technically paid, but the yuan is so worthless as a currency, like, it's basically slave labor. They're working for practically nothing. It might as well be slave labor. And I'm thinking to myself, it's like, alright, I'm going to explain this to Shad. I'm going to give him some reference material to work with, and I'm going to ask him, alright, could you draw that kind of setting, but have all of the workers in the factory be waterbenders? And could you have Asami, like not hit anybody with a whip, but, like, have her crack a whip, like, up in the air, like, like, have her treat this like it's the 1860s, like, she has a plantation, so she can do whatever the fuck she wants with her property, because technically slavery is still legal in the Avatar universe, because it varies depending upon which culture still enforces it. And the culture that enforces it the most are earthbenders, namely the Earth Queen, as you would see in Legend of Korra. Now, I explained that, and I'm thinking, if he says no, I'll just go ask somebody else. And essentially how it boiled down was, Shad said no, but he said no, followed by no and fuck no. And I wrote that down in the FJ post. Now, the minute I posted that post, everybody read that and misinterpreted it, and years went by where they continued to misinterpret that post. And they got it in their heads that I asked for something that sounded a lot like Futanari porn. I legit don't know where the fuck they crossed that bridge together. Like, yeah, Shad told me that my fetish is non-erotic to the point where somebody would be legitimately fucking soft in the process. Like, how the hell are you even fucking hard describing this? So maybe they got that part mixed up in the process.
That makes
and thought that I was trying
of sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and that's essentially how it happened. Like, I don't know how the hell. It's like they took what I took from Shad and then used it as like a method of playing a game of telephone, and then it turned into whatever the fuck it became. And they straight up thought I just asked Shad, it's like, yo, could you straight up just give Asami and Korra 2 big Fudacocks? No, I did not ask for that.
Okay.
Jesus fucking Christ, Tumblr, pay attention.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense because yes, the post is kind of confusing, but I only translated like there the part where only Shatman like mocks up the part like he's saying no. But yes, that makes a lot of sense. Like, I guess he said no, fuck no, and then he clarified that he's not taking commissions, but he anyway said, oh hell no, something like that.
Yeah. Nobody gave me like a reference ahead of time that Shad doesn't do commissions, and when he used to brag about how he used to do commissions, but he doesn't, because he just draws whatever he wants and he just expects people to donate to his Patreon so they can feed more into their coom delusions. Now, I like Shad's art. It's got its merits, and I stick by what I mean. Like, if I had 1/10 of Shad's drawing ability, I would be drawing so much goddamn bread. But with Shad, he basically told me no and fuck no, and even if I were in the market of wanting to do commissions, I sure as shit would not draw something like that. You're out of your mind. Which is funny because Shad draws edgy shit all the time. Like, people complain about how Shad has drawn porn of Keemstar's daughter, Shad has drawn porn of his own mother, Shad had that bit where he had to go to court because he technically drew real child porn, and he had to use his Patreon money as a means of paying people back. And
don't worry, I think Shatman is pretty bad. Don't worry. And like, that's why the legend has so much view. Like, of all the people, Shatman, that's like drives people off, and that's part of the legend. Yeah, so even if I clarify in the video that you said that Shatman was not taking commissions, a lot of people is still confused. Like, even after I make the video and I ask to my followers, hey, what do you guys want me for us to more logic? A lot of people is telling me, hey, can you ask him for the real version of what happened? Can you ask for the real thing? And I'm like, okay, I'm going to ask that because, yeah, there is some gray area, but now that I'm reading the post, I can see what you're saying. Like, he's mocking you because he thinks it's something not exciting. But it's very open to misinterpretation. Okay, I think that I at least can fix that to the public eye. Like, at least to the people who watch the video. Okay, because even with the interview, the written interview, it's still a bit kind of confusing.
That was essentially what happened. Like, I don't know how the fuck it got telephoned into however the fuck they interpreted it, but that was essentially what happened. That was back during my time where I was literally only drawing Asami art, and even though you were wrong in your previous video talking about how my waifu was Asami, it technically was. She hasn't been my waifu in a while. I've moved on then, but yes.
I didn't say waifu, I said one of the most popular characters in the Wonder Guy verse.
Yeah.
Because Asami,
She was my first.
Yeah. Because even if there has a lot of time has passed, I know you have new interest, you have shown me your new art and all that. Let's face it, when you try to find anything about more logic or the Wonder Bread guy, Asami and Pacifica are the two characters that come to mind. However, I know your story with Pacifica. I will ask a question later because I want to know your reaction with her redemption arc, but that is going to come later. For now, yeah, I understand that you have moved past that. And yeah, even videos where they try to be neutral, like for example, I saw a video like the first time I was researching from the Swinner, this YouTube user, where he actually read the whole thing, and even if he was trying to say, hey, take this capture with a grain of salt, this might be real, this might be not. It still sounded weird, but now with this clarification,
Yeah.
like it feels, oh, now I understand what Shatman said, and now I understand the capture. Okay.
So in order, it went. Deadwing was the first person. Well, technically, if you really want to be technical, the first person to ever acknowledge my DeviantArt was Rooster Teeth, the creators of Ruby. They found my DeviantArt and they were just reviewing it one day. So technically, they were the people who reviewed my DeviantArt first. And then after that, after the Wet Monsoon Tumblr shitpost, came Deadwing. Deadwing's video came next. And then another person named Creepshow Art, who is just a person who reviews other people's DeviantArts and while on occasion drawing things on stream. Sweener was the technically fourth person to do a video on me, and I was actually able to talk to Sweener, and Sweener's video was heavily based on the conversation that I had with the guy, and I haven't talked to him for a while. He's my friend on Discord, but yeah, you are correct when you say he had a more neutral stance, because he actually got to physically talk to me before he made his video, and yeah, he doesn't have any like harsh opinion of me. He probably doesn't think much of me since the video he posted, but he was the fourth person to make a video about me. And then after that came Rogue, The Dick Show, The Procrastinator Podcast, The Dick Show again, and Rogue again. And then you.
Okay, good to be in the list. But okay, yeah, as I said a couple of days earlier, my purpose is also to bring this wonderful story to the Spanish-talking public. Like, I think one of the things I enjoyed to do the most about my video was giving out hints and people not understanding what I was talking about, except for a few people that do know the legend. But like watching the people unexpected, like what does this has to do with anything? I use the Silent Hill 3 meme, it's bread, like to say, when people ask me about the topic of my next video, I usually posted that meme. There is even people asking me, what do you think about the it's bread meme?
So I think after my presence on the Dick Show got, universally known everywhere all over the internet, there were a bunch of fucking people on Twitter who were all reacting and like posting memes. It's like, yo, holy shit, this man, he's like omnipresent. He's like not even human. He's like an unfiltered stream of consciousness. So, to point out the Uzaki-chan sketches, no, I did not pay $200 for those. Believe it or not, a very dedicated fan of mine who deeply, deeply, deeply loves my shitposting thought it would be funny to spend $200 on literal MS Paint drawings of Uzaki-chan and then spin this yarn that he was me, and then I would be open to the idea of paying money for anything, even MS Paint drawings. So he did this. He basically pretended to be me, blew $200 like an absolute fucking mad lad, and then said I would be open to the idea of drawing or buying Uzaki-chan sketches. I don't even like Uzaki-chan. Nagatoro, that's different. Nagatoro is best girl. Uzaki is whatever, take it or leave it. I don't really care about the controversy about how her tits are big. She's got like a childlike body, because she's an opie lolly, and, Japan's into that kind of thing. But, that's how the Uzaki-chan thing got started. That wasn't me. That was just a fan of mine who tried to get a meme going, and it worked.
Okay, that was actually a question for later, but thank you for answer at once. It actually makes me laugh, because yesterday, Kachizero noticed that. She noticed my video. She said, oh, I got a lot of requests asking how to contact the Wonder Bread guy because some other guy made a video about it. And I was like, oops. It was so funny, like, oh my god. Like, I didn't expect the video to have that kind of repercussion, at least not so early. Like, the Andres Tunes ones took like 1 year. This one was like in less than a week, interviewing the man himself. So yeah, okay. You answered the Usagi-chan one because, well, it 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 completes the legend. Yeah, I don't know, but the fact that there was a fan or a friend that paid $200 to pretend to be you is more fascinating than the fact that it was
I
you.
didn't even ask the dude to do it. He thought it'd be funny because, he loves my shit posting, and he thought, you know what, I'm going to give Murr the greatest amount of clout. It's all going to be a surprise.
Okay. Like, I feel someone spending $200 for shitposting is more fascinating than you doing it for that. Okay. I want to recall one thing in case I make a very personal question that makes you uncomfortable or awkward. You are in your right not to answer it, okay? Even if it's a simple question as the next one. What is your age?
I'm 26 years old. On May 24th, 2021, I'll be 27 years old.
Okay. Yeah. I know there is people that don't like being asked their age, so I wanted to clarify that. I know you told me the government helps you with your incomes, but what else do you do? What do you work on?
Nothing, really, considering how shelter in place has only gotten worse and more people are being told to just stay in their homes and not do anything. So the thing about the CDC guidelines when it talks about essential workers, it's still being enforced, but more and more people are losing all of their income and more people are having their lives devastated because of shelter in place. And as of last night, they recently passed that stimulus bill that basically gave everybody $600, but all these huge corporations and all these huge fucking third world countries that are corrupt and horrible, but they're getting billions of dollars in aid. Like, people were talking about how people in Israel, like each individual person gets 2 to 5K a month as a means of taking care of their family, but people in America are getting $600 a month. Now, the last stimulus bill, we got $1,200 a month, so we somehow lost money. It's ridiculous. Nobody's doing anything right now. We're all suffering because of it. Shelter in place is only getting worse. Dr. Fauci, the guy who's the head of the CDC, who talks endlessly about how we need to take the vaccine and we need to take the vaccine as soon as humanly possible, but you see all these negative side effects that have been coming from the vaccine, and the media is like accidentally covering it because they don't know what's going to happen, but when it happens they feel really bad, because now they have to spin a lie saying, oh, everyone's immune system is different. You have these reports about people experiencing Bell's palsy. You had someone straight up fucking die after they take the vaccine. Like, they're talking about these impossible numbers about how they want to get 9 million people in 10 days all over the United States vaccinated. It's not possible to vaccinate 9 million people in under 10 days. Like, maybe if you had every hospital have the vaccine and they worked day and night, you could get something feasible, like 100,000, like 500,000. 9 million in 10 days is legit a fucking fantasy. It's just not possible. Hello?
Sorry, I forgot I have push to speak. Sorry. Okay, so for what I got before this whole pandemic thing, you were working in shelters, I think?
Alright, so the last job I had, so I went over to a place called Department of Rehab. Despite its name, it's actually an unemployment center. What they mean by that, it's like Department of Economic Rehab. So I go over there, and I asked the woman who is running the Department of Rehab what kind of skills are provided for people who come from me, like very, very low income, like low people. And she asked me, it's like, there's this place called Catholic Charities, which deals with foster youth, homeless youth, runaways, rehabilitating people with substance abuse. We figured that'd be the best kind of job for you. So she goes and tells me, would you be open to start training for that? And you'd go and work from over there. And I'm like, all right. So I go over to a place called Buckaloo, which is a different employment center, which works with Department of Rehab. So I go over there and we start the interview, and I fill out the application. I whip out my identification. And she looks at my identification, it's like, sorry, we can't hire you. And I'm like, why? It's like, because your identification's expired. She puts my California ID back in my hand and she points out the California ID had expired. But she gives me a chance and she tells me, it's like, I'll tell you what, I like your face, I like your determination. So if you were to go to the DMV right now and get your stuff situated, like the next time you get your California ID, we'll give you the job essentially immediately, provided nobody comes and gets the job between now and 10 days from now. So I went to the DMV. I spent 3 hours in line getting my fucking renewed California ID. I go back, I show my new California ID, I get the job. So I don't know what I'm training for. You hear about like the circumstances of what you need in order to fucking get the job over at Catholic Charities, and they sit me down and they want me to do clerical work first. Now, I've done clerical work before. It's fucking boring. I don't know how the fuck people who work at home or work in an office setting like or tolerate jobs like this. Like, shit like this is half the reason why this kind of occupational work is getting automated to places like India, because, you know, it's just something nobody wants to do, and it's like really shitty work, and you know, it's better off to find a non-union worker and pay him even less to do that, so you can make more of the work from others. So the clerical bit goes, you know, just as follows, and then my boss over at Buckaloo goes over to me and tells me, it's like, so we don't know how long we're going to be training you for, and we don't know how we're going to be training you, but you know, we're going to be training you. But I was supposed to be trained to go work over at Catholic Charities, and they wanted me to go work as a janitor for them, which is not what I was supposed to be trained for. Now, I'm sure there's janitorial work over at Catholic Charities. Most occupations have some degree of janitorial work, but they were just straight up training me to be a janitor. Now, their office building is very small, and it's very easy to clean. So if you clean the office, it's clean all day. Like occasionally things will get messed up again, but like, you know, it's nothing huge, but it feels like they're just giving you busy work to keep you busy. Like, you have an 8-hour day to spend it all day cleaning, but there's barely, if anything, to clean. And when they can't think of anything for you to do, you're just floating around, and it's frustrating. So they were complaining about how my work ethic wasn't good. Like, they were saying, like, how come you're not coming to work in bells and whistles? How come you're not singing Mary Poppins songs and, like, tiptoeing into the building, you know, as you're cleaning all of our fucking messes? I'm like, because I don't feel like I'm supposed to be trained for this. I feel like I was supposed to be trained for something different. And this eventually got so, like, intertwined with other problems that they were just dealing with at the time that they just, like, you know, we're going to have you talk to the higher up and, like, see why you're so unhappy. The reason why I'm unhappy is because I feel like I'm not being trained right. That, or I feel like I'm wasting my time here. Like, why am I not over at Catholic Charities by now? So I go over to, like, the higher ups of, like, human resources, and all fucking people do in human resources is tell me, is like, you're really bad at this job. I don't know who fucking trained you last, but you're really shit at your job. And I got so mad when I fucking heard that I basically told human resources to go fuck themselves. But since I basically told a female higher up to go fuck herself, all of the female employees in the building dropped what they were doing, all immediately ran into the office. They all huddled around human resources because she was a female, and they all just started Tumblr screeching at me like a fucking collective hive mind all at the same time. And it was at that point I realized, like, you know what? I'm fucking wasting my time here. I ripped up my resume, I fucking threw it at her fucking car, and I left. And 10 days after I essentially quit that job, the Tubbs fire happened, and Santa Rosa was essentially on fire for 10 straight days. And ever since I quit that job, I haven't worked since. So, yes, I have been a NEET pre-pandemic, but I've essentially been deeply comfortable in staying as a NEET in shelter in place, because the government is essentially telling everybody, you all need to become NEETs now. You all need to go in your pod, you need to go sit in your room, not to need to do anything, you need to be dependent on the government. Now, a lot of people are against this because it feels like they are telling them to ruin their livelihood so the government can have even more control over your life. But that's essentially been me. So any money I have been using to pay for commissions is either money that I save up and keep in a little nest egg to buy as a side project, and not do the thing that Chris Chan does, where Chris Chan just blows money the second he gets it. because he's an idiot. I save money so I have enough money to do commissions, or I just use these stimulus checks that the government's been giving me to pay for commissions, because they give them to me as like, you can spend this on whatever you want. It's like, all right, fine.
Okay, because there is a lot of people that are curious about that, like, what are your incomes? Because there is a lot of art, even if not all of them cost like $200, like 50, 40, all that, it's still pretty much. There is a lot, so people are curious about that, and I see like, here you go, do whatever you want, and you're like, okay.
Yeah, I've basically been told by the government, don't do anything, you're not essential, just fucking be dependent on us. And I'm like, you know what? Fine. I don't really approve of how shelter-in-place has been basically ruining people's lives, but it's the given circumstances as what's been happening right now, so if they want to give me a $600 check and tell me I need to be grateful for it, I won't be grateful for it, but I won't say no to $600, because $600 is $600.
Okay. And next question, it's a pretty interesting one that I only saw once and I was like, huh. Okay, I can ask him this. Okay, you're a legend, quite a character, and I can confirm some things of the legend are just true talking about you. But there are people with this curious question. What do you fear? What does the Wonder Bread guy fear? Even I admitted in the video that, come on, there are worse things out there. So I want to ask you, which is the internet fetish that you feel is way too much? Even for you, that makes you cringe, like say why? Out loud.
Well, if you see Chris Chan's fucking furry rape porn that he calls the Sonichu comics, that's disturbing and it's different, right? But you've seen enough Sonic OCs, you become desensitized to it, and you eventually become desensitized towards a lot of things. But in terms of shit that I'll never understand as to why people get sexual over, Vor is one of them. Vor is one of those really dumb fetishes that I feel like, people just have like a cannibalism fetish. It's just weird. Funny story. I once actually got banned from Reddit for a couple of days because a Reddit Janny has a Vor fetish, and if you say anything bad about Vor, he will ban you instantly because you offended him for kink shaming. So stupid.
Yeah. I know a guy that suffered the same thing. He did the same thing. I don't remember in which port, but he did the exact same thing, and he was banned because they considered it kink shaming. It was like, oh god.
It's so dumb, they'll ban people for kink shaming Vor, but they shame my kink all the time because they say it's not natural. But like fucking, in that situation, you got to look at Janny straight in the eye and you got to sing that song. That wonderful song, Hot Pockets and Asthma Puffers. They just cannot handle the bants. For when they get blown the fuck out, they cry and then shit their pants.
Okay, that was an interesting question indeed. That is what makes fear is what makes human. Okay, what is your criteria to choose which artist to choose for commissions?
Art is subjective. People will prefer certain commissions or how styles of certain commissions look. I preferably base my commissions off of two things. One, how cheap is the man willing to work? And two, how good of the quality is he willing to work for cheap? Some of my commissions that are really detailed I've actually gotten for free, just as gifts. Others I've had to pay a lot of money for, and some that are really good I've actually got a pretty decent bargain on them. So, again, each commission artist is different. They all have different means of how they want to draw things and how much they want to charge for and how much they feel like they think they're worth. And it namely is depending on that. I have a lot of commission artists that I frequently commission because I really enjoy their work.
Okay, wait, can you excuse me for 1 second? I have to turn on the Christmas lights.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm back.
Welcome. I had no idea they celebrated Christmas in Colombia.
Yeah, all of Latin America. I mean, we are the West, so we are
Well,
very
to be
festive.
fair, Colombia very much loves the American dollar, right up there with Cuba, so it makes sense.
Yeah, but yeah, in all of Latin America we celebrate Christmas. Which brings me to the next question, actually. Um, I know I'm a small user, but I still have some contacts, and I'm quite shocked with the reception the video got. It's mostly I'm weirded out, but it's quite fascinating. I like this guy. What do you think about the fact that a lot of Spanish talking public seem to have a positive view of you? Or at least compared to the English speaking public that satanize you a lot?
Let me tell you a story. So there was this guy. I forgot his name. I think his name was Theo, but apparently he lived somewhere in South America. Now, I don't know the whole story about every country in South America. I just know South America as a whole has a lot of problems, and how each individual country in South America is having its own individual problem. Like Brazil, they straight up think that the Amazon rainforest belongs to Brazil and only Brazil, not to the world or even to just South America in general. You have Venezuela, like, overinflating its currency to the point where it's worthless. But I had a guy who lived in South America who I didn't really like his art. His art wasn't exactly all that good. Like, I was just commissioning him because I felt like I was doing him a solid. And I don't know if I was like getting worked out of my own sympathy or whatnot, but like he was telling me this story. Like, you remember posting this in your previous video. Like, these commissions right here. I was buying these kind of commissions from a guy who was saying how he was having it really rough in South America. His goal was to move to a different part of South America and, have it slightly better than in the part of South America that he was living right now. I don't know if he was living in Venezuela, but I remember him saying he wanted to move to Peru, and it would need a lot of money because he would need to transfer himself, his wife, and his child. And I was thinking, you know what? Maybe I'm getting worked like those people get worked when they fucking do the bit where they read those scam reports from people who claim they're from Nigeria, and they'll pay their weight in gold if they just give them their credit card information or that kind of dumb shit. And it's a learning experience. Like, you gotta pick and choose which commission artists you're deciding what you want to invest all your time in. So I was buying these commissions because some of them look really good, some of them look really fucking terrible, but at least he gave his honest to God try. I was helping the guy get money so he could move from one part of South America to a different part of South America. And it got to the point where I got him enough money, but what I had to do was I had to fucking buy him a transfer pass or whatever. Like, however the hell he put it, like I couldn't just send him American money over PayPal. I had to convert that into his currency and then have that be transferred over to him so he could get the tickets he needed to go and move on to Peru. And eventually, according to him, he made it. He made it to Peru, and he told me, it's like, I swear to fucking God, homeboy, I will fucking worship you like Christ because of what you did. You are the most kindest stranger on the internet. And he wanted to continue doing commissions with me because I'm guessing he wanted to afford staying in Peru, but I told him, it's like, nah, I can't keep doing this, dude. Like, I feel like I'm roped into something that I shouldn't have been roped into, but I helped the guy get to Peru, I guess, and when I hear stories about people who are in Latin America who really like me, I just remember that one story about that one dude who I helped get to a nicer, safer part of South America, and I don't know if he's safe now, or if this dude is even still alive, but like, when I hear people in Latin America really appreciate me, I think it's either because they really need money and they think, oh, let's get some money off this guy, or, there's like a weird wholesomeness around it. And when I hear about that, like, that's the first story that I think of.
Yeah, I can think that that there is people that indeed think like, oh, this guy pays very well. And there has been some memes about that. I remember a friend of mine sent me a meme like the moment Murlogic finds out people like him in Latin America, and they post your Twitter turning into Drake Bell, because you know who Drake Bell is, right?
Yeah, Drake Bell was the guy from Drake and Josh. After Drake and Josh, he tried to find other careers to make money. You know, because when you start off as a guy in like in your teens, early 20s, you know, you feel like you're on the top of the world, and then you realize you're not the it guy anymore. Like Dan Schneider's not calling you anymore. It's clear that he's more interested in sniffing Megan's feet and putting her in iCarly and pretending like he cares about the quality of the show when he's just after her feet pics. Drake started losing a lot of money. Josh Peck isn't really all that financially well off either. He tried to branch off out of Drake and Josh. He ended up becoming an asshole because of it. But, like, Drake had it worse. Like, they both had it bad, but Drake had it worse.
And Drake Bell moved to Mexico because people in Latin America really love Drake. Like, they really love Drake Bell. And he changed his name from Drake Bell to Drake Campana.
Drake Campana?
Yeah.
Okay, Drake, whatever.
But yeah, like, people were actually, like, some of them think, this is weird, but this is fascinating. I wouldn't mind getting a commission from this guy. And people who doesn't do art were like, well, this isn't that bad. I don't get why the internet freaks out that much about you.
The only people who really freak out are Kiwi Farms and Tumblr, who really hate me the most out of everybody, and it's just like this thing where they keep doubling down where they're not going to accept any other narrative outside of the fact that I'm just a weirdo like Christian and I need to be put in my place. I need to be banned from the internet entirely, like it's fucking China, and I've just been so no bad they can't tolerate it.
But yeah, like, Spanish talking people, they're cool, I guess. Like, I'm not saying I'm completely surprised that people here don't find it that weird, but at the same time, I kind of expected that. Like, I expected, and I'm surprised at the same time. Like, it's not the weirdest story out there, let's face it, it's just mostly fascinating. Like, this is actually a thing, like, this user gets so much attention for what he does. And yeah, we have pretty fucked up things here, like to worry about, like some guy that does some weird stuff. And things like the My Immortal or Christian are heavier because the repercussions they have. Harry Potter is
because
popular.
Chris is a dangerously fucking psychotic human being and needs to be fucking put in place.
Yeah, his story from the man himself to all that, it's been going on for years. And he has done some pretty shitty stuff. I usually bring out the example of him assaulting someone in GameStop because they had a plushie of Sonic with blue arms. And there is actually a mugshot of Christian existing, so that says a lot.
So,
but
I know you mentioned the
that is like
the games.
That is like the top of the messed up things I have spoken in my channel, to go down to some guy that has a lot of weird stories surrounding him. Is like, it's my bottom of the barrel because I don't want to review things below this. Because there is people that wants me to review accounts that do scat. I'm not like, no! Why do you guys want me to do that? I'm fine just looking at weird bread art.
So, you fucking talked about the GameStop thing. One thing that usually goes overlooked, and you only would know this if you actually read a lot of the Chris Chan wiki, or you watch Geno Samuel's month-to-month documentary. One thing that normally goes ignored outside of the whole, like, attacking a GameStop employee thing was when Chris was recommending that we, as a culture, need to send AIDS bombs and just bombs in general over to Sega and kill everybody in the building, all because Sonic's arms were the wrong color. And I feel like that should have gotten way more attention outside of the pepper spray bit. Like, the pepper spray bit's funny, but, like, that post right there deeply fucking demonstrates just how fucking far gone from reality Chris Chan is. And he's not doubled down on that. I feel like he's just using it as an excuse to complain about he's been banned from GameStop. And another thing that people tend to ignore was the bit how during that GameStop pepper spraying, he had his his mom with him, and he purposely left his mom at the mall and forgot all about her just to run away. And when the cops came to come pick her up and go back and arrest Chris, oh my god, Chris, you deserve so much worse than what you're able to get away with.
But yeah, after hearing all those stories, people is like, at least my public, they are like, oh, this guy is weird, yeah, but sure, he seems nice. And that's kind of the purpose I wanted to the video. As I told you, I had 3 segments: the legend, the art, and your point of view. And I feel that thing got pretty neutral. Like, people have a neutral point of view, and I'm glad. Like, I haven't got that many comments saying awful things or wishing you were dead or all of the internet like I got from other videos, and that's good. I only have like 1 comment where they call you an asshole, but other than that, well, not an asshole, an actually bad person. But other than that, the reception has been pretty good, both for my comedy, my reactions, and all that, to the person itself. Like, oh, this is funny, but it's not that bad, actually.
I remember when I went on the Procrastinators podcast, I noticed that there was a big contrast between how people reacted to the video on Twitter versus how people reacted in the YouTube comments. And after doing a recent check and noticing the dislike bar, it's very clear that the demographic of people who watch the Procrastinator podcast are the people on Tumblr and Kiwi Farms who do not like me. And they just didn't want me on the show, and they just didn't want to fucking hear me. They just thought I was a terrible human being. They wanted nothing to do with me. So that was a mistake. It was a learning period. But, like, you know, you're going to see people like that on a lot of different, like, forms of content. You know, some people, they just don't want their mind change. It's like that one comic of there's 2 people in a room. One person says, I'm mad. Another person gives him a folder that says, here's the solution. And then the guy who's mad destroys the solution. He's like, no, I don't want a solution. I want to be mad. And that comic basically summarizes Tumblr. They don't want solutions. They want to complain. They get, like, I like to think they get so much of an endorphin rush whenever they get mad over something or when they complain about something that they feel like the clout alone is just them not finding a real solution to their problem. They don't want solutions. They want to complain.
Yeah. I have to admit that at first I didn't want to make the video because I didn't find that much material, to be honest, until I find all your interviews and all that, and I said, I can actually work with this. And I'm glad I did. Yeah, it came out a very interesting video, and now I'm talking to the man himself.
I still love that Asami montage. I cried with laughter. Just that music in the background as all those pictures fly up on screen. I'm like, this man, the audacity of Mr. Magic Man.
Okay. Related to today's last question, there is people that want to show you their work. Do you mind if I make public your user to those people, or maybe to create a thread?
Yeah, you can give them my Discord, you can give them my Twitter, because it's the only fucking forms of media connection I have. You know, ones that aren't banned.
Okay, I will do that. But yeah, there is a lot of people actually interested in meeting you. So, the next question is a bit random, but there is people that want to know your opinion in these characters. Okay, it's 4 characters. The first one, I had a hard time thinking why they were associating it with you, but here we go. What do you think about Eboshi from Princess Mononoke? Have you seen the movie?
Ironically enough, Princess Mononoke is actually one of my personal overrated Hayao Miyazaki films. I much prefer Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind, and I much prefer the manga over the actual
I have
anime. But
only
the anime
seen Princess
itself,
Mononoke, if I'm honest with you. And it was because miscommunication error. My girlfriend wanted to watch Mononoke, and I thought she meant Princess Mononoke, and I was okay. I haven't seen that movie, and she was like, "Oh, I really love that movie," but I meant the other Mononoke, and I was, "Oh."
ironically enough, I do like Ebishi. I would put her in the mating press as she tells me about how much she hates the environment, but like, I feel like Mononoke is just a bit too cliche for me. Like, I feel like Ebishi should have doubled, tripled, even quadrupled down. Like, she's clearly the antagonist of this story. Like, they try to be like coy about it. It's like, oh, about what all the people are struggling. It's like, no, this is clearly a man hates nature, and it's always fucking. Is that's what Miyazaki does in all of his fucking films. He portrays humans, mostly accurately as like these fucking wasteful degenerates who fucking treat the environment like it's a big fucking toilet. And you see this in Nausicaa, the Valley of the Wind, and Ponyo. It's more commonly noticeable in Mononoke, but it's in other Miyazaki films. So yes, I would say Ebishi is a great waifu, and for the meme, I would think lewd thoughts about her, but like, I think lewd thoughts about a lot of different waifus, so she's not the first one that comes to mind. In fact, I didn't think about Pacifica for a long-ass while, up until you made that video, and as of recently, I've actually been thinking of Pacifica and Tabes a hell of a lot more than normal, so thank you for fucking reverting that back to square one.
Yeah, I remember you mentioned the Taves one, and I actually saw a tweet about it, like, oh, I indeed opened the Pandora box. Okay, the next question is not... the next character is not a waifu. It's a male. Do you know a manga called Chainsaw Man?
Oh yeah, I've heard of it. I heard it's really popular.
Yeah. Turns out many people are comparing you to that character, not only because of the chainsaw, that's a funny coincidence, but the favorite food for the character, it's white bread. So like Chainsaw
Man
and Chainsaw Man and white bread, of course, people in my comments were saying like, is he the Chainsaw Man? And I was like, oh. And of course, many people ask, what do you think about said Chainsaw Man?
I've actually never read this manga. I've heard of it, but man, hearing about it, like somebody low key just fucking made a manga about my shit posting, and when Funimation or whoever was fucking approving of this manga, they're like, "So, what was your reference material behind this?" Oh, it's just something I came up with. Those Americans, they're super weird, but like, it's totally original idea, absolutely original.
But yeah, I saw that, I was crying, and I wish it only was one post. There were like 5, and I was like, oh my god, I have to ask him about this. Okay. This one came from a user saying he's surprised he didn't saw Princess from the Powerpuff Girls.
Oh, she's on there. I definitely fucking love Princess. She is an absolutely abhorrent little hate sink. But I feel like, the thing with commissions is that you can make them behave even worse than how they behave in the show. And as much as I love Princess, how much she's an absolutely rotten to the core little child, if I'm gonna think lewd thoughts about Princess, I want her to be even worse than how she would normally behave. So essentially, you could just take character X and just ask why doesn't he like character X? Like, I do, but I would prefer character X act even worse than how she would normally do canonically. So yes, I definitely like Princess, but I feel like she could be even worse. Like, just take her how she is now, but make her even worse than how she normally is canonically.
And lastly, for some reason, the Bimbo Bear. Rest in peace.
What about the Bimbo Bear? I've heard of it.
What do you think of the character? I don't know, there are 2 comments asking what do you think of the Bimbo Bear. Rest in peace.
I mean, I've found porn of the Bimbo Bear, character, and like, you know, I think the character is cute, but like I like the idea of having like wholesome mascots for things that are like not exactly like the best thing to primarily like pay money for. Like as much as I love Wonder Bread from like a wholesome, like, you know, its marketing standpoint, I know it's not good for you because it's just pure sugar, palm oil, and corn syrup. But I had an idea at one point where I wanted to make a proper mascot for Wonder Bread, and I came up with this. And this is a picture of a mascot that I conceptualized. His name is 1D. He is essentially a sentient piece of white bread. He controls the multitude of Wonder Bread corporations all over the world, and his only purpose is to destroy all other forms of bread that aren't specifically his brand of bread that he's trying to corner the monopoly in. And I've drawn a lot of this character, or more specifically, I have worked... In fact, funnily enough, in your previous video, when you were showing examples, you were actually showing an example of somebody I was talking with last night, because we're actually still working on things together. And when I told him you were using a lot of his reference material in your video, and I showed him like the timestamps of like when you were showing all his art, dude was crying with laughter at all the free advertisement you were giving him. It's the funniest shit in the world.
I mean, that's my job. I guess people were asking about the Bimbo Bear because they are going to remove him. Because
Terrible.
of what you said. It's not good to have a mascot for an unhealthy product. Actually, in Mexico
well, I mean, that's
and
true.
Chile, they're going. In Chile, they already did it. In Mexico, the law starts next year. And they are going to remove mascots for all sorts of products. Like, you know, Tony the Tiger, the Toucan, all of them gone for the cereal boxes.
Now,
the Bimbo Bear is going to die internationally because Bimbo is a Mexican company and things like that.
So
I guess that's why they are asking.
They're absolutely right that mascots shouldn't be used as a means of selling unhealthy things for children as a means of product, because, you know, most of this shit's made in Monsanto, and Monsanto does not do any kind of like actual public review of the products it makes. Like, I eat a lot of its products, you know, I know this shit's not good for me, but, you know, it's all about moderation. Like, if you want to eat these products, nothing's stopping you. By no means are they good for you. Like, you shouldn't eat them. But, like, I feel like this is a slippery slope, because while it is good on the surface, I feel like it's a regulatory means. Like, if you were to look at this from a libertarian point of view, a business is just trying to sell their product any way they can. But when you look at it from, like, a health standard, like, you know, like, it feels like they shouldn't be selling a product like this to children, because it feels like it's not a good idea to do so. So yeah, I get what they're doing. It's like the equivalent of like when they said they want to tax more for junk food and cigarettes so people don't buy it, but it's only compelling people to want to spend more because they're addicted. But yeah, I get the idea. But you know, you got to commend Bimbo. Like, you know, it's a nice wholesome way to sell their product, even though they have to get rid of their mascot now.
Yeah, I guess because of that they wanted to ask you about the Bimbo Bear, of course. But yeah, next question is more normal. Wait me 1 second. Okay, what has been the most specific commission you have ever asked for?
I've namely just been commissioning comics, because, like, with single commissions, like, if I can get comics for cheap, you know, that's great. I like making comics because I feel like I get to write stories while at the same time coom and shitpost at the same time. I like making stories. Like, I'll admit I'm not the greatest writer in the world, but, like, you know, I like to actively try. It's always been my number one ambition to want to make my own cartoons someday. But, you know, that requires a lot of money and resources that I don't have or can't allocate at the moment. But, like, you know, in a perfect world, nothing would make me happier than to make my own fucking... If I would say this, if I had the means of making my own cartoon, I would just give up on shitposting completely, because I feel like there's no way I'd be able to peak from that. Because as it stands right now, you know, my commissions are basically all I have. Like, they're the only thing that bring me any joy in these sad, depressing times that we live in at the moment. But yeah, I really enjoy comics, and most of my comics are either based around the waifus that I really enjoy, or like the shows that I've been watching recently. Like, I have a guy that I'm gonna talk with in January to see if he still wants to do Owl House comics again. But I had to take a break because he wanted to draw Shantae porn or whatever. But yeah, I really just like making comics. Namely, with my waifus, it makes it even better because, like I said, with commissions, in a commission, you can make character actors out of characters you humanly want them to be. Because as a 2D image, it can be made however you want to made, and I can make them however I want to, provided I have the price to pay it. That's why I have a multitude of different commission artists, because some commission artists have like no standards at all. They will draw anything, and I mean anything. If you pay them, it's like, oh, you got it.
Okay, that actually makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Like comics being the most specific ones. What is the commission you haven't been able to ask? Whether it's being too specific or too ambitious, or simply not being able to describe it?
What do you mean?
Like, you have a commission in the top of your head, like, oh, I want one day to ask this drawing, but I can't for X or Y reason. Like, I don't know, it's too ambitious.
Well, I'm sure there's like multitude of different. I'm sure there's a multitude of different times I've talked to commission artists where I want to buy their art, but I can't afford it. So there's like times like that. There's the Shad thing where I asked him for the Korra thing, and that's never going to happen. And there's no way I'm ever going to be able to compel Shad to draw me the things I want him to draw, even if it's been radically changed since then. It's namely just like the examples you see here, but like drawn more and more extreme. Like, I want to see like how far a commission artist is willing to fucking deprive himself for fucking money. And, if I have the money to pay for it, I will. And some commission artists have so little standards, they will draw anything. And I mean anything. It's like, homie, you want lolly porn? I will fucking have it for you the minute that check clears. Those kind of people. You have furry artists who make God knows how much money drawing the most degenerate fucking furry porn in the world. And Chris wants to get in on that market. But, he can't because his art is fucking terrible. He has to rely on memes and clout from how fucking insane he is. But yeah, there's a multitude of situations where I want to see how far I can press to see what kind of stuff I can get from artists, and it namely depends upon what they're comfortable of drawing and what they're capable of drawing.
Okay. I know you told me something about white bread being your favorite and not liking some other kinds of bread. But aside from white bread,
yeah,
is there any other kind of bread you enjoy?
No, not from like a taste point of view. Nutritionally speaking, it's obviously better for me, but then again, bread in general isn't exactly healthy. But yeah, I just prefer white bread, namely for the taste of it.
There is a lot of people asking about bread. What do you like putting in your bread?
I like peanut butter, jelly, and Nutella sandwiches. They are like the ultimate in what I would think of like what a pretty princess would probably like to eat, because it's just sugar on sugar on sugar with more sugar. Give them all that teeth rot and rot gut in their stomach. I also like mayo, mustard, all kinds of meat. I had this question asked me on the Rogue show, and I even had one question where they asked me, it's like, are there any meats you don't like? And I'm like, oh, the ones you see in those delis, like tongue and halibut, all those cold Jewish deli meats, those nasty kinds, the ones that give you gout.
Okay, found the questions again. Do you like toasted bread?
I do. I prefer white bread straight because just the softness of it, it's like a nice pleasury sensor to the brain. Like I get a dopamine rush from it. Untoasted Texas toast, just a big squishy sandwich. It's so good. Fucking there's a fancy kind of bread. It's Italian or French. Brioche, I think it's called. It's like fancy rich people white bread. Sarah Lee's got a brand of it, and it looks really, really pretty. Like, I watch copious amount, like hundreds of hours of bread commercials, looking for reference material for comics. I namely watch a lot of white bread commercials, and I have to really stretch like the fucking imagination possible when I come up with a lot of these commission ideas.
Okay. Uh, Last bread related question. Bread with or without borders?
Oh, you mean crust?
Yeah, I don't know. I know there are some regions where they
Absolutely.
say.
I love crust.
Yeah.
Crust is the most important part of the sandwich.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why people wanted to know that, but sure, whatever. Um, Next question. I know in many places you have said you are proud of your reputation until it comes to bands and things like that. Of course, nobody will like that. So, what do you think of such reputation?
It's kind of a take it or leave it kind of thing. Some people are going to react differently. Some people might just take advantage of it because they might want something out of you. Like the commission artists, they probably just want someone to market their stuff for, and they feel like it's a good opportunity for them. Other people, and it's rare, but like I love when it happens. Like some people who are commission artists will just come to me because they just want to draw me things for the sake of drawing me things, just to say that they did it. And if I end up getting like 100 friend notifications on Twitter and Discord after this call, and some of them just like, yo, I will draw you art for free, Nim, because you bring me so much joy. That'd be great, but a lot of them are probably just going to ask me for money. It's like, homie, please, I will draw you bread. I will draw you anything. Habibi, I'm struggling.
Yeah, probably that's going to happen. Sorry beforehand, of course. But yeah, I wanted to know that there is a lot of people curious about that one, including me. Like, how do you feel about such reputation? And I didn't want to share your Twitter until I got your permission because of that. I didn't want people to flood your Twitter account with those kinds of requests of, hey, I will draw you anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. But now that I got it, I will share it mostly because people were asking me a lot about what is his Twitter. I want to follow him.
Oh, the fucking Wonder Bread image that I give you is getting a lot of fucking clout on Twitter right now. I'm getting a bunch of fucking reference mentions from the fucking thing you've posted. And a lot of people are following me right now. A lot of them are from Latin America, so we'll help each other find clout.
Yeah, I actually posted it because that was the last image you sent when I made the post. Okay.
Seems very fitting.
Yeah. Okay. What was your impression when you saw a video of someone that speaks another language talking about you?
I was crying with laughter. I'm like, homie, if we've really gotten to this point, all the English speakers who have fucking covered my channel have said everything they needed to say. So now we're getting people from different countries. Like, I called you Magic Man because you were speaking a language I don't speak. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to have to run this whole video through Google Translate, and I'm going to have to hope and pray to God, he's up to speed with everything. And while the video wasn't exactly perfect, I had a fun time watching it. Just the montage in your reaction to all my old art. The fact that you used the fucking Wayback Machine. Cried with laughter. I'm like, oh man, this guy's jonesing for my art.
I know you took that as I was using it to find your art. No, I was using it just to take some captures about your comments and the fact that the account actually existed, because the art itself is still all DeviantArt. DeviantArt doesn't remove art if the artist is banned. But yeah, it was mostly for captures, but I'm glad that was some involuntary humor. But yeah. I actually tried to talk about things that are not able in our language beforehand. I did that with Sonichu, I did that with my Immortal, and now I'm doing it with you. But okay, again, I'm glad that at least it made you laugh. The next question you already answered it about Usaki-chan. I know you didn't do it, and I know you don't like the character. You prefer Nagatoro.
Yeah.
Okay, now the question that I wanted to ask you. What was your reaction with Pacifica's redemption arc?
You know, funny story. So, Alex Hirsch, the creator of Gravity Falls, fun fact, he fucking hates. He absolutely cannot fucking he fucking despises beyond words the Northwest family. So, when he conceptualized the Northwest family, his idea was, I'm going to make a group of side antagonists. Like, they're not the main antagonists, but like they're in the background, and when people see them, they're going to hate them. Like, they're going to look at Pacifica, they're going to look at her father, they're going to look at her mother, and they're think, oh man, these characters are terrible. But you know, they're there for the sake of variety, you know, because Gideon's the season 1 villain, followed by Bill, and then Bill is the season 2 villain from like the rest of the series onwards. So we have Pacifica as kind of like a foil to Mabel, because Gideon has got Dipper, so Mabel needs something, so they gave her Pacifica. But obviously, this didn't last long, because Pacifica got really popular as a character. Like, we're talking really, really popular. And she ended up, like, getting so popular that Alex himself actually started getting really fucking mad, because a character he did not want to get popular got popular. And his idea was, alright, I'm going to make this episode called Northwest Mystery Manor. It was the episode where it really started to popularize the idea of shipping Dipper and Pacifica together, and why it's the most popular ship, and why even Alex's fucking girlfriend, Dana Terrence, who now works on Owl House, says it's her favorite ship. So the idea was, I'm going to release Northwest Mystery Manor, and I'm going to show to people once and for all that Pacifica is a terrible character, and how there's no connection between her and Dipper. And he releases the episode, and the episode ended up becoming the most popular episode in the entire season, if not the entire series. So much so to the point that when Lost Legends, the epilogue book, came out and sold out day 1, the most popular story in that book, other than Mabel meeting her anti-Mabel self, was the episode involving Pacifica and Dipper, who end up going into a mirror world, and Pacifica starts talking about her origin story, because we didn't hear a lot about that. Like, it was covered a little bit in Northwest Mystery Manor, but it's covered a lot more elaborately in Lost Legends. So, the story is, Priscilla, who is Pacifica's mom, met Preston at a fucking beauty pageant, and Preston essentially just coomed immediately at the mere sight of Priscilla, because this was back before she started getting addicted to plastic surgery. And the minute she won the beauty contest, she peaked in life, because Preston wanted to basically marry her immediately, and Priscilla basically said, alright, I'm going to become a rich trad wife to one of the richest men in the world, and I'm going to have him bear me hundreds of children, and where I'm just going to be a proud member of the Northwest family. But the problem with that is they make it seem like in this book, before Pacifica met Dipper and Mabel, Pacifica was actually a really nice girl, but, you know, she came from a wealthy upbringing full of ruthless industrialists, and her mother was not tolerating her fucking positive pop personality. Like, you're in Northwest, you need to act like it. Your daddy's pretty princess, so you need to act like a raging, fucking, irrationally nasty child, because that's what we want you to behave like. You know, because that's how Alex was writing her to be. And when you see her in the show, you know, like, she kind of does that, but you don't. But it's like explained later in the golf episode, like that's just a front. She doesn't actually really enjoy acting like this, so it's not like she's a spoiled brat. She's just a tsundere with money. And this was the point where I realized that this was becoming a new trope, where you take somebody who's like a spoiled brat on the surface, but you write her to where she's just super lonely. She doesn't know how to interact with people. Like, she tries to use her wealth as a means of showing off her wealth and status, but, like, you know, people don't care about that. And, you know, it's like, I've made the joke about it. Oh yes, you know, all it takes is for rich people to interact with poor people for one day to realize it's better to be poor than to be rich. It's this ridiculous communist fantasy that Alex Hirsch fucking cooms to. It's this redemption arc. It just feels so forced. Like, people want their ships, no matter how nonsensical they seem. It's why I don't approve of when they shipped Asami with Korra together, because Asami comes from a very tragic background, and Korra, she has her flaws, but she has so many flaws to the point where it feels like the ship just feels like to exist just to promote the gay. It's ridiculous.
Okay, that's more or less what I expected to hear.
Yeah. Like, so, if you were to ask me, like, how would you prefer Pacifica? It's like, man, I'd prefer she be like all the other fucking waifus in my harem, an irrational fucking spoiled brat who just yells and screams and cries until she gets whatever she wants. Much prefer she just be that.
Oh god. Um, right now I'm seeing you have a lot of new followers that follow me.
Oh yeah, and you know that reference mention fucking thing on Twitter. All these fucking people from Latin America checked my messages. Nope, no DM requests yet, but give it time.
Yeah. Yeah. There is one guy that is actually a popular YouTuber that was like, Sebis, you just unleash a terrible curse over Hispanic internet. I hope you're proud. I just said, I know. Yeah, I talk a lot in Spanglish because I work with people in the US. It's hard to hard to get rid of it. I also studied in a bilingual school, so all my
It's always good to have new friends. Is one of the fucking replies.
Yeah. Yeah, I. That's why I speak in English. I got all that. It's still not perfect, but hey, at least you understand me. That's all it matters. Um, what is the top amount you're willing to pay?
It mainly depends upon how much money I have and how much money I'm willing to pay to get a certain commission piece. I once paid $323 for porn of a commission artist's wife, and I've paid $200 at least for a commission artist named Jerk Douglas because he draws very high detailed comics. Now, if I can get those same high detailed comics for cheaper, you best believe I'm going to pick the cheaper option. But, sometimes it just can't be helped.
How much will you pay for a short animation, let's say 10 seconds?
Oh my fucking god. If people were to commission me gifts, I would pay good money. I have not had somebody make me gifts, but man, if people were in the market to make me gifts, I would more than be happy to pay for them. Animation's expensive and very labor intensive. They'd probably ask for a lot more than I'd be willing to feasibly give them because I don't have the money on hand.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Yeah, actually, a friend of mine that is animator that makes animations for a YouTube channel called Dego Boom. It's like Let's Play for kids. He actually asked me that question, but rhetorically, not like in a way of, not in a way of.
Yes, rhetorically. He fucking dude went up to you, put his hand on his shoulder. It's like Habibi, curtain against the wall, marks are gone. Ask him if he wants to buy some animation for you. But be coy about it. Let's say, hypothetically,
it was
be in the market to buy some animation.
No, actually, he quoted my Twitter and was like, how much will he willing to pay about an animation? No, don't think about that. Things like that. But yeah, it wasn't directly. It was a quote tweet.
Yes, you can tell him if I have the money for it, I'll absolutely pay for it if it's good. If not, if you gotta wait, homie, I'm broke. We're in December.
Yeah, I completely understand that, especially after what you told me about the $600.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like that hypothetical scenario of how much is he willing to pay? Like, so much people are asking that, like, how much? But yeah, it depends. Okay. Excuse me 1 second. I lost what I was looking for. Yeah, here it is.
Drawing a day keeps the genies away.
What do you think of the memes? Like, wait me 1 second. I'm just going to send you the whole tweet. Like, the whole no draw hair buying Wonder Bread and similars. This one is with Pacifica, where they actually put the under a drawing of Pacifica, they put the picture of Goku saying now draw her buying Wonder Bread, and they put your commission.
I love the memes. I'm not gonna lie. I'm definitely a huge fan. Laughter a day keeps the doctor away. It just brings me joy that some people can like have a bunch of fun out of this. Because the weirdness is what compels people to want to make the memes.
Okay, that's actually good. What are your plans for the future?
Right now, I don't even fucking think I have a future right now during shelter in place. The government basically tells everybody, be afraid all the time forever. Don't question the government. Fucking stay in your room. Take the vaccine. Wear the mask. Drink the soy. Eat the bugs. That kind of bit.
Okay, and this is the last question, and I guess it's the most serious one. Has this affected your personal life?
No, not really. I mean, like, Healy Farms knows I exist, but they don't actively directly attack me like they attack Chris Chan. They'll keep a tab on me, but like they're worried about like other things at the moment, to the point where like I'm such a low fucking effort thing. Like I'm so low effort to the point where they'll pay attention to me like on occasion, but like they won't like fucking delete my fucking account on Kiwi Farms, because they want to keep a reference to me just in case I do something that's very Chris Chan like, wishful thinking on their end. But no, they're just waiting for me to fucking have my overall Chris moment. I feel like I've had more than enough similar moments that are like Chris moments, but like not nearly as depressing and disgusting like Chris.
Okay, that was mostly because of all the bans. Maybe someone targeted at you in real life. Glad to hear it wasn't like that. Okay, I think that's all the questions I have. I don't know if you want to tell me something else.
I can tell you so much more. We still haven't even fucking scratched the surface, but like I said, what we could do is, if you're like needing content, you can come to me and you can just have like me ask you stories. Like I could tell you all kinds of stuff we haven't even covered yet. Like if your fan base wants to ask like a bunch of AMA related questions like every once in a while, they're more than welcome to. I'm more than happy to answer them. With shelter in place, I'm not really doing anything, so I might as well answer them.
Okay, that actually will be a good idea. No, yeah, it's mostly because those are like the big questions at the top of my head. That's why I had to ask people, what do you want to ask this guy? And there is people that actually ask me very personal stuff, like, does he actually gets hard with that? I'm like, I'm not going to ask him that. Like, I mean, you already told me that you do. You actually posted a comment when we were doing the grid and stuff. But like, no, think of better questions. But yeah, I have a post on Facebook, a post on YouTube, and a post on my YouTube channel where I basically tell people, I'm going to interview this guy today. What do you want to ask him? Most of them are repeated questions or questions that you already answered, or questions that the video already answered.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I was like, oh yeah, that this is kind of disappointing. Like, for example, why specifically Wonder Bread? That already answered you, because the way it's targeted, is marketed, it's mostly a one.
You can go over that in more detail in your follow-up video, which I'm more than fucking looking forward to watching. Yeah, I hope it's done in the same fucking style that you did the first video.
I'm going to try, because well, it's going to be a bit hard because this is way more direct. There are things that I'm imagining for now, like for example, I know you're kind of curious why I was saying no with a piece of bread in front of me. It's because I have an accidental running gag in my videos. Because I was in a hiatus for 5 years. I released my Mortal video on April Fools. So At first, when I released that video, I recorded myself eating grapes, but I wasn't eating grapes, I was eating the branches. Because people seem to have loved that joke so much because they thought, oh, the whole video is going to be him eating grapes instead of an actual video. People asked me to turn that into a running gag. So in the next video, I was eating an apple out of a McDonald's box. In the next one, I was eating potato chips with a spoon. In the next one, I ate a sponge. And in the next one, I ate a sandwich which was made with 2 slices of ham and a piece of bread in the middle. So, because I literally ran out of food jokes, I decided to make just the bread joke and say no. If I take a while making this video, it's because, well, we are in holidays and my father is in the hospital right now. He's getting a leg surgery, so he's going to be at home. I'm not going to have space to record and all that. But yeah, I have actually a lot of material for now. If I have some questions, I have more than time to ask you for them.
I have hundreds of stories I could go over with you.
Yeah, tell me one of those weird stories now that we have time.
What kind of weird story?
I don't know, related to... like what? Someone that rejected you. Your commissions.
Like Shad?
Yeah, something like Shad, but an actual rejection, like someone that said, I'm not going to draw this.
Well, you see, there's the Shad thing, there was the Wet Monsoon thing. I don't really have a whole lot of stories that I can think of off the top of my head like that. I think, I remember a long time ago, back when I was working on Asami commissions, I was working with a guy who namely got popular on a website called FJ, because FJ used to be the dumping ground for where a bunch of people would go and post all their art before they would go and make a living off of a different fucking platform and then subsisting entirely off of things like Patreon and GoFundMe. Now, this guy was one of the earliest commission artists I used to work with, and he was the guy I bought commission porn of the dude's wife. And when I asked the guy, it's like, does your wife care at all that I straight up just bought a commission of her essentially acting out of character but in her fucking cartoon avatar? And the dude was asking me, it's like, oh no, it's fine, you know, she doesn't really care as long as it brings in the money. But I asked for more commissions in relation to that character, and he told me no, saying how he wouldn't feel comfortable or wouldn't feel right to do that. So I don't know if he was just being wishful thinking in relation to how his wife wasn't uncomfortable and I straight up just asked for porn of her and bought it as like my first commission ever, or if he just didn't want to, you know, jeopardize his character more than what I fucking asked him to draw. So I namely just asked him to draw Sami-related things from then on out, and eventually I just stopped talking to that guy because, you know, I found different commission artists that were cheaper, or, you know, they were willing to expand their horizons a bit more, you know, because I'll tell you this right now, you can tell all your commission friends, people who will draw essentially anything, and I mean anything, like they're comfortable with anything, they don't care what, they will draw as long as they get paid. Those are most likely the kind of commission artists that are most likely to get first in line access from me, and depending upon if their art is good, I'd be more than willing to pay for it and go even farther to make them a long-time business relationship where I'd be willing to pay their commission art all the time, provided I have the money.
Okay, that's actually pretty good. And we got some other questions in the time we were talking that are quite interesting. Do you regret ever wasting so much money in these commissions, or no?
Not really, no, because it's just kind of like a hobby. Like, you know, my goal is like, don't end up like Chris Chan. You know, he's like fucking wishful thinking. Like, my idea was like, don't spend a wasteful amount of money the way Chris Chan would waste his money. But like, I try to avoid that. Like, my goal in life is not be what Kiwi Farms wants me to be, which is like a substitute to feed their addiction that the Chris Chan era of shitposting is over. Most people don't really care about that kind of thing unless that niche demographic of people up on Kiwi Farms who are hungering for something to fucking hyper obsess about.
Oh god, that reminds me. There is a lot of people that wants a second part of my Christian and Sonichu video, and I'm like, no, what do you want that? I covered everything I wanted to cover. I don't want to make the same video 4 times like other users do. Like, there are users that have their chronicles and all that, but there is people that have their annual Christian video, and I'm like, no. Okay. Would you spend the money again if you went back in time? I don't know what they mean with that, but
I probably would, but I'd be a lot smarter with what I want to fucking buy my commissions from. Most things I'd probably just remain untouched. I would try not to end up on Kiwi Farms, but that seems like a inevitability because those fuckers are hawks.
okay.
Yeah.
Your family and friends know about your internet persona and fame.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
My mom and dad don't know about it because that's a longer story for a longer time. But in terms of only a small, very small real life group of people know about the commission thing. I tend to keep that a secret from them because, one, I doubt they care enough to want to know about that. It seems like a private thing, and two, it's namely an internet thing. I namely only really care if people on the internet really care about it because the thing about the internet is you're anonymous up until the point where until someone doxes you, which is what Kiwi Farms did, which still makes me fucking sick. I don't know how the fuck they live with themselves to go to that length because they're so desperate for another Chris Chan shitposting fucking extremina or whatever, but yeah, it's namely an internet thing. I namely just like seeing people's reactions to it because I'm addicted to memes and I'm so in need of things to laugh at because the world is a sad place, and the best kind of medicine is when you get to laugh at something that is perceived so negatively that it fails upwards to the point where it's funny.
If I find any other question, a lot of these questions you already have answered, like why do you prefer Wonder Bread over Bimbo? And well, marketing.
It's namely the packaging.
Yeah.
I feel like Wonder Bread is nicer looking packaging than Bimbo does.
There is actually a brand here that I think looks more like Wonder Bread than Bimbo. Let me search for it. Here it is.
Yeah. Fun fact, actually, Bimbo is actually a part of the Wonder Corporation, but it's called Bimbo because they want to sell Wonder Bread twice as fast, but they make it seem like a rivaling competitor of bread. Bimbo is actually owned by a corporation called Flower Foods, which is owned by a Mormon billionaire who lives in New York.
That's actually new information for me.
Yeah, believe me, I've done hundreds of research on this.
There is people asking this one. I think it's a bit far-fetched, but okay. Is it true that you prefer blondes over any other hair, or are you indifferent?
I'm indifferent. I like blonde girls. They're super hot. Namely because, a lot of it's like I mentioned before, when I gave all those commission artists templates, I gave them examples of what they would use, and they just namely used my examples instead of just being creative, which is why a lot of my waifus are blonde. But, yeah, I like blonde girls. I am all for blonde girls. Big, blonde-breasted Karens and soccer moms who live in a world where it fluctuates between 1950 and 2004.
Okay, I know it was an occasional fight I brought it up because okay, this is part of the history of the man. But did you ever spoke to the Fallout Equestria author after the whole
No, and I could give a flying fuck about that Brony and his retarded fanfiction. I'm not doubling back on that. It's dumb. Like, Bronies live in their fucking world where they think we're normies and that they fucking live on a plane of reality. Like, fuck them. Fuck that dude's gay fanfiction. You're talking to a guy who makes his own equally shitty fanfiction. I know what I'm talking about. Take the L, my guy.
fun fact, there is a lot of people asking me to check that one fanfiction because it's a weird combination. But I actually give it a read and I was like, oh my god, this is actually not that bad, and that's a problem because I can talk about it. Like, you can remove the ponies and the puns and you have just a Fallout fanfiction, and it's like
still cringe.
Yeah, it's like only the combination is weird, but it's like you don't have much to take from it. It's not like My Immortal with this that is emos with Harry Potter, but there is so much more beyond that. Like, you have things like Draco Malfoy going to a mosh pit with with Simple Plan music. Is like, come on, it's Simple Plan, the guys that make the Scooby-Doo song.
That sounds like a top tier shitpost.
Yeah, that's shitpost. While the other one is like, it takes itself too seriously that you can just laugh about it.
I would absolutely 100% believe that Draco Malfoy would go to a fucking mosh. He's a Slytherin, of course he would.
Yeah. Let me see if I find something else. Yeah, I know. Okay, okay, I see you don't retract out the whole Fallout Equestria thing. Okay, besides Wonder Bread, Rich Girls, Chainsaws, Environmental Mayhem, is there any fetish you haven't been able to commission?
I would love more daddy-daughter commissions, namely just incest-themed commissions. But I mentioned earlier about how it's namely the commission artists that will draw virtually anything you ask of them and like take no shame or discomfort in them, and they will do it if you give them money. My idea, since I have a thing for spoiled brats, I wanted to commission more stuff of them being so nasty that they fried their brain to the point where they've become like such little terrors. Like, they develop daddy complexes where it's not enough that they have to be daddy's little princess, they need daddy's attention constantly, and they will act out and just be upset and go do extreme lengths to continue having daddy referring to them as their favorite. I love more commissions like that.
Okay. That's actually pretty interesting. Like, there is still a lot to be seen. This one, I feel I already addressed it in the video. Like you said, everything was just reverse psychology. But because, well, we are from Latin America, is it true that you truly hate poor people?
No, I don't. As a poor person, why would I hate poor people? The entire idea behind these commissions is to draw, like, you even brought this up in your video. You talked about how you noticed a pattern, how all of the women in these commissions are either canonically, like, the kind of people who hate poor people, or, like, they're conceptually and carefully designed to hate poor people. That's done deliberately. It's namely because I like drawing characters like this because I feel like they're the most interactive. Like, you know, I can't stop drawing them because they're just so much fun to draw, you know, because most people would never want to draw a hate sink unless it's like to prove a point, but I like to draw them because I like to be counterculture in relation to that. Like, you know, I like to like the waifu that nobody likes. Like, if you were to ask me, if I were to watch something like Darling in the Fray, and they were to ask me, is your waifu 02? I'd tell them, no, my waifu is Ichigo, and just watch them scream and shit because Ichigo's not supposed to be the waifu I'm supposed to like. It's like being a fan of Konosuba and being asked what's your favorite waifu, and they mention Aqua, and you'll get like a very divided response. It's like you'll have some people like quietly screaming based, But you'll have other people being like, no, you can't like the worthless goddess even for her sex appeal.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense, and yeah, I figured that out. Like, you like those kind of characters that hate poor people. Of course, you are going to draw them hating poor people. It's like, duh. I don't think you're like that.
Bro, I'm poor. I live in California. I'm as poor as humanly possible. I'm not like Vosh, who lives in LA and LARPs about being a communist while at the same time living in a high-class fucking place in the LA area.
Okay, I guess we're done with YouTube. Let's check out my Facebook if there is any questions. Yeah, I just posted this picture.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's not a question, but I guess
I am ready to die.
But yeah, they wanted to send you that one.
See, what they don't know is that I'm secretly just this picture. I don't know how I'm shitposting right now, but God, I'm trying.
They say if you go to Hooters, you ask for white bread.
What?
If you go to Hooters, you ask for white bread.
No, you see what I do is I go to Safeway and I just go to the bread aisle and I just fondle all of the Wonder Bread they have in the aisle and I just quietly moan to myself as I'm fondling the bread and I just gently put it right back, untouched and unopened. So whoever wants to get Wonder Bread, I'll have you know, I thoroughly touched it with my COVID fingers. So you've invested that risk.
Speaking of fingers, there is someone that actually wrote this. Which is your top 10 finger toes? I don't know why are they asking that. Another question is, what do you think of Isengard and the deforestation of the forest in Lord of the Rings?
I don't really watch Lord of the Rings. I know what he's talking about. He's talking about that sentient tree. He's complaining about how Sauron's army just fucking laid waste his fucking countryside, and he's joining the elves. It's just a means of getting revenge. But I don't really watch Lord of the Rings, so I can't really like form an opinion of it. I don't really care all that much for Lord of the Rings. Game of Thrones is okay, you know, up until like Tyron's fucking father gets killed just sitting on the toilet, but I'm not really into fantasy. I think it's kind of boring. I know some people really like it. Like, it pumps them full of, like, high testosterone. I'm not really into fantasy.
Here they're asking about the Elisa and Devil May Cry 5 commissions. Why?
What?
In your DeviantArt you have 3 different pictures of Elisa playing Devil May Cry 5.
Oh, that? Oh, yeah. You mentioned that in your video. So, back when Devil May Cry 5 came out and was getting really popular and they were making all kinds of memes, one of the most popular songs to come out during that time was the song Devil Trigger. And believe me, I love Devil Trigger. I vibed to that song so well. And I came up with the idea. It's like, you know, Eliza comes from a very privileged upbringing, so it would make sense that her family would let her play rated M games to just feed more into that negative monster that makes her personality. So I envisioned that Eliza would be the kind of person to only play rated M video games, the ones that would desensitize her brain. Like, we're talking Doom, Devil May Cry, you know, all those like very sensory overload, like burning through her dopamine receptor kind of games to help feed more into her personality. And look at Devil May Cry Devil May Cry gameplay, and I'm thinking, it's like, man, this would be the kind of game she'd like. You get to throw around a giant sword and just kill demons all day. It sounds great. You know, I was also the kind of person to think that Devil Trigger would be Eliza's favorite song. Recently, with the special edition release of Devil May Cry 5, Devil Trigger is now only the second most popular song. It's now Bury the Light, which has become the new meme song. And yeah, that was mainly why I conceptualized all those Eliza pics of her playing Devil May Cry, because Eliza takes me as the kind of person who only plays rated M games because she's mature, even though she's like what 8.
Okay, that is actually
Yeah.
a pretty satisfying answer. Um, okay, this one is interesting. Have you ever wanted to create your own bread brand?
I would. I would love to make my own commercials for it too. I've actually tried to contact the Wonder Corporation and Greenpeace and some of us trying to get a job in their marketing department. They're like, sorry, but we would much prefer you just give us your money instead of actually asking for a job. I would. I doubt anybody would buy it, but like, you know. But then again, we live in a world where people will buy Belle Delphine's pee.
Okay, that's true. There is people here asking about Chainsaw Man again. Okay, who is your main in Smash?
Mr. Game and Watch.
Okay, here you can see it's an actual question.
Yeah, I main Game and Watch. I've been maining Game and Watch since Melee, and that hasn't changed since Ultimate. I love Game and Watch. I love his little beep boops he makes every time he walks across the stream.
There is actually 4 people asking this one. Have you ever had trouble in paying your commissions?
Oh yeah, all the time. It's now gotten to the point where I'm in such good standings with my commissioners, and when I say I will pay you back later, they believe me because I always pay them back later. So, some commissions I just straight up run off credit off of the faith that, you know, if you do this for me, I will pay you back at a certain time. And they do. No, not every commission artist is going to want to be like that. Maybe some will be like comfortable enough to give you a pre-sketch, but that's basically it. All your Latin American friends are probably writing down notes. It's like, you know, he can't pay us now, but he can pay us later, so we'd be open to the idea of giving him art, but he better be willing to fork over, because we don't want to call the cartel and come break his legs because he forgot to collect on his money.
No, don't worry. If they're asking for commissions, trust me, they don't have ties with the cartel.
Supposedly.
They're asking about Chatman again. Why do you prefer Wonder? I guess you said this in the Dick Show interview. Are you in a relationship right now, or?
No, I haven't been in a relationship since I broke up with my ex like almost 6 years ago.
Okay. Why is Brett so important? Is this guy a liberal?
Oh, hell no, are you kidding me? Actually more of a moderate neutral than I am a liberal.
Let's check lastly Twitter. If there are questions in my post. What do you think about bread? Where did you get the money? I don't know why are they asking this one. I guess because I like it. Do you know Little Witch Academia?
Oh yeah, the gay witch anime? I'm fully aware.
Yeah. I guess because I like it, they ask if you like it too. I don't know.
Probably thinking about that green-haired lesbian who's like, you know, super preppy, and if I like her. I haven't watched Little Witch Academia, I've heard of it, I've seen the memes, it's cute. I prefer Owl House.
Yeah. And, basically, she doesn't have a redemption arc. She's like, oh, okay, I know I was a jerk, sorry. But that's it. I don't think you will like it in that aspect if they think about it.
Yeah, you can tell them, like, my favorite waifus are spoiled brats, the irredeemable kind, the ones that just keep quadrupling down to the point where they're not even fucking characters anymore, they're just tropes.
Is there any other kind of hobby you want to share with the world?
Like professional wrestling.
Oh,
I've been watching a hell of a lot of lucha lately. I watched Triple Mania a couple of days ago. God, I fucking love luchadors. I commend the level of like craft they put into making their ridiculous outfits and masks. I would love nothing more in the whole wide world than for someone to mail me a luchador mask. I'm not talking about like a basic luchador mask. I want like the most extravagant fucking mask ever.
they're asking here, what do you think of burger bread, like that pre-made burger bread?
It's alright. It's namely the kind of bread that you would preferably want if you want burgers. Like, you know, those people who tell you the sad story about how when they used to have hot dogs, they didn't have hot dog buns. It's like a crime to fucking use bread instead of just hot dog buns. Like, hot dog buns are for hot dogs. Bread is for things that you use bread for. It's kind of like how when you think of olives, like, you put that in Mexican food, you put that in pizza. And that's about it.
We have Mexican pizza around here that is just pizza with spicy nachos.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you live in Colombia, so I'd presume.
Yeah, we're actually not that much about spices. We are more of sour flavors. I actually found that out when my girlfriend came here. She was like, "Why do you like Colombians like so much sour flavors?" And I was like, "Huh, never thought of that."
Well, Colombia is primarily known for like fucking coffee and sugarcane, and obviously the little white powder. But we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah, please. But yeah, we actually have a lot of potential for international exports, but our government is so corrupt.
Yeah, Cuba has the same problem. They really want to export to other countries, but they can't. Their fucking their dictator won't let them.
What other junk food do you like?
Just any Monsanto product that's obviously not good for you. I mean, I fucking love Doritos, even though they're made of pure palm oil and MSG powder. I'm not really all that much into sweets. I'm actually more of a salty kind of guy. I like chips, peanuts, Cheez-Its, Triscuits, salty foods.
Even with this whole situation, you're still getting commissions. This comes from a non-artist. Just as a curious question.
I've had some people who are in the middle of commissions and then just straight up said they just lost all will to actually do commissions because they're too sad because of shelter in place. This namely happened like early in to like shelter in place, but like most of the time, people need money and they got to get over their depression because they got to fucking pay bills and whatnot. So, some commission artists, even during this, they have standards like, they'll only draw certain things and they're only comfortable or capable of doing certain things.
Understandable. Yeah. I guess that actually is a question I have. Another Chainsaw Man question. What did you think the first time when I called you the bimbo guy? I didn't thought that joke will be misinterpreted.
It's funny enough, like when I clipped that fucking bit and I posted on it and I was like, I like your funny words, Magic Man. Everyone laughed. It's like they called you El Hombre Bimbo. Yeah. I wasn't the only one who enjoyed that. A lot of people on my timeline saw that. They were laughing. It's like, who is this fucking guy? El Hombre Bimbo.
Do you know Bimbo? Will you give me a hat in Team Fortress 2? What is your job? Do you prefer blondes? Did you understood the video? No. What is your favorite commission? You already answered that a couple days ago. What do you think about bread with stuff like fruit and raisins?
I mean, I don't hate it like I would hate something like rye bread. It's clearly like fruitcake. It's namely sweets. Like if you want to be technical, like donuts are just like bread sweetened and like fried. So I like those. I love donuts.
Okay, where do you... There is a lot of questions about how you get your money. Like, there is probably 20 across 3 social networks. Don't think you know what that is. Where do you get your money? You still have the waifu bread idea. How much bread do you have in your kitchen right now?
Yeah.
How much bread do you have in your kitchen right now?
Yes, you see, what they didn't understand is when people were out knifing each other for toilet paper, I was steamrolling into every Walmart, taking all the white bread they have on the shelves. I built a fortress out of it.
Okay. Okay, that is an answer I didn't expect. What is the worst kind of bread you had?
Rye. It's straight up boomer bread. I don't know how the fuck people even eat this shit. It's so gross.
Why did you watch my video? I mean, obvious reasons. If I saw a video with Zebitas Martinez, I will watch it immediately. Excuse me 1 second. Okay, I guess this is all for today since I have to leave. Yeah,
I got you.
it was actually pretty nice. This was a nice experience I didn't expect to have after making the video. Once again,
The follow-up video that you're going to be posting is going to be fucking amazing.
But yeah, I hope to live up to the hype. Yeah, I'm going to start working on it as soon as possible. But yeah, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for being so open.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for bringing us laughs to everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, have a nice evening.
This is...